Your first word is convivial, which means friendly or agreeable. I also want to give you the synonym amiable, which we had a couple units ago, meaning friendly. So these cats look pretty convivial, right? They're friendly, they're playing together. Your sample sentence is about convivial softball games, because the games are friendly. So you can just substitute convivial in for friendly pretty much anywhere. Your next word is viable, which has two kind of different definitions. So the first one is capable of living. So I have kittens over here because when a litter of animals is born, a person might check to make sure that they are all viable. And it's possible that sometimes a kitten might be born too small and it wouldn't be capable of surviving, so it would not be viable. These kittens are all viable. Your second definition is practicable or like able to use. And the sample sentence goes along with this. So viable ways of selling merchandise would be viable ways of selling, or would be ways of selling things that could work out well. You might talk about like viable options. So where should I do my homework? There are a few viable options. I could do it in the kitchen or my bedroom or the living room. A viable reason would be a reason that might work. Abduct means to kidnap. Pretty straightforward. Your sample sentence is about a child that had been abducted. Your next word is conducive, which means favorable or helpful. The helpful hint tells you that conducive is almost always used as conducive to. So doing an ab workout is conducive to getting in shape, or I guess that's yoga. Doing yoga might be conducive to being more relaxed, right? So something is conducive to whatever effect you want. So this one is not, right? But loud music was not conducive to getting a good night's rest. Turning out all of your lights is conducive to getting a good night's rest. Studying really hard for a test is conducive to getting a good grade. Aqua as a root means water, so you can remember that because you know that aqua is like that color. And your first word is an aqueduct, which is an elevated canal used to transport water. We often think about those in terms of ancient aqueducts because aqueducts were used more commonly before there were pipes and other ways of getting water places, but there are also modern aqueducts. And you may remember, tells you, we just learned duct, right? So an aqueduct leads water somewhere. And the sample sentence is about Roman aqueducts. And here are some pictures of how the water will like go across there, right through there, and it's using like just the downhill angles to move water. Aqueous, your next word, means water-based, and the aqueous material is what we get in the sample sentence. Aqueous environment is another really good way to use it. So you would write about a duck living in an aqueous environment or being most comfortable in an aqueous environment. This over here is an aqueous environment or an aqueous area. So ben or bene meaning good might remind you of words meaning good in French, Italian, or Spanish. And your first word with this root is benefactor, which is a person who donates a lot of money. Your sample sentence says that a theater would have had to close if it hadn't been for a massive financial donation from an anonymous benefactor. So kind of similar to altruist, a benefactor is someone who does a lot for an organization or donates a lot of money. Benign is your next word. It's an adjective and it means pleasant, basically. It's often used kind of with a suggested contrast of like this could be benign or it could be cancerous, or that cat could be benign or it could be very aggressive. So like this tiger here looks kind of benign, but we're not really sure. The helpful hint tells you about tumors. So if you have a tumor, you hope that tumor is benign. So you'd say, is it benign, right, or is it harmful? And then your sample sentence is about a man who used to be mean-spirited, but then after he retired, he became more benign, more friendly, more gentle. So with your next root, sed, seed, ses, the word seed actually on its own means to yield. So if you know that word, that would be helpful. Your first word is concede, and that means to admit. So I'm going to give you the phrase concede defeat because that's one way that it's used. So if you are playing a game of chess and then you know you have lost, you concede defeat by knocking over your king. The sample sentence down here also has to do with acknowledging that you have lost. So Vivek had to concede that Kelly was an excellent public speaker. So you'd often say, like, concede that, right? I did concede that she had won. I did concede that she was better than I was, etc. Or you can concede defeat. Your next word is intercede, which is similar to intervene, in that you are breaking up a fight or getting into the middle of an argument. So you see referees interceding there. Where it's a little bit different from intervene is that you're often interceding on someone's behalf. So to act on behalf. So you're not usually, when you're interceding, just like getting in the middle to stop it. You are standing up for someone specifically. So if you look at the sample sentence down here, Alexis had to intercede and stand up for her friends. So she's stepping in on someone's behalf. Your next word is cryptic, which means mysterious or ambiguous. So crossword puzzle clues are often cryptic because they're supposed to be tricky to figure out. And your sample sentence is about a cryptic message. You found me, but have you ever really been lost? Hard to figure out the meaning. Your next word is a verb, which is encrypt, and it means to encode or to put into code. So encrypt means to put into hiding or to put into a code. The sample sentence says that someone was encrypting his journal entries with an alphabet that he made. So when you were a child, you ever tried to make up codes or like a secret language, you were encrypting your meaning. And computers and cell phones and electronics and such also use encryption in order to put data into a different form. Your next word is encompass, which can mean literally to surround. So this circle encompasses the word to surround, or you could have a fence encompassing a property. Encompassing can also mean to include. So over here I have the term bird, which encompasses a number of different species. So I could say, look, there's a bird, and that description would encompass a hawk or a swan or a rooster. Your sample sentence is about construction sites encompassing a brand new home. So they bought a home, but then it became encompassed by construction sites or surrounded by them. Your next word is envision, which means to picture mentally, especially concerning future events. So people might ask you, what do you envision doing in the future? What job do you envision having? What college do you envision going to? So it's kind of looking forward to your future and thinking about what you want. Your sample sentence is a little bit less positive. It's a fighter pilot not being able to envision any way of getting back safely. So he's like looking into the future and thinking about it and can't envision it working out well. Pseudo means false, and a pseudonym is a false name. So Mark Twain, who's a very famous author, for example, actually used a pseudonym. His given name was Samuel Clemens. And your sample sentence is about George Orwell, who wrote under a pseudonym. His real name was Eric Blair, not George Orwell. So authors will often use pseudonyms. You might also use a pseudonym if you were trying to commit crimes or go into hiding. Pseudoscience is basically fake science. So astrology, for example, and these are zodiac signs over here, are a part of a pseudoscience, right? Like the cycles of the moon and the year don't actually affect our personalities. So we consider that a pseudoscience. The sample sentence here says that I don't care if they say acupuncture is a pseudoscience. I'm going to try it anyway. So with a lot of different sciences or scientific ideas, there's discussion of whether it's a pseudoscience or not. Like, is alternative medicine a pseudoscience? Can people heal themselves with herbs? Is creationism real science, or is it a pseudoscience? Can it be supported by facts? So this can be, like, whether certain things are pseudosciences or not, can definitely be controversial.